All right, and we are live. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today, I have the pleasure of talking to Reid Nicewonder. You guys probably know him as Cordial Curiosity on YouTube. He does a lot, the same sort of thing as Anthony Magnabosco, where he talks to people about what they believe and why. And it's called Street Epistemology. There are websites on Facebook where you can go learn about that, too. They have groups and stuff like that. And I also have every relative link that I could at least find right off the top. For Reid down below. You can follow his Twitter, his Facebook, and YouTube channel and stuff like that. And I highly recommend it. Anyways, Reid, so like I was saying before, I talk to people about why they left their belief systems and the journey that led them on. So why don't you kind of take us back to when you sort of first started realizing that this stuff may not be as true as you thought, and lead us up to becoming the, I guess, somewhat of an activist that you are now.
Sure thing. Yeah. Thanks again, Neil, for having me on. It's a pleasure.
My pleasure
to be here. Yeah. Thanks again for all your support over the past year or so.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Love it. And welcome everybody. So yeah, going back, I grew up in Southwest Virginia. Like the song, West Virginia Mountain Mama, that is the area where I grew up. And Appalachia, my mom's family is from, deep Appalachia, like in between just mountains on the left, mountains on the right, in this little valley. And they all like worked in the coal mines. And my dad, his family owned a bunch of coal mines. So they just were just there in Appalachia, had a coal mine, and my mom's family worked there. So it's just deep, Appalachian culture, and it's deeply Christian, and my family was Baptist, Southern Baptist, and I grew up in Bristol, Virginia, Southwest Virginia, on the Tennessee border. Bristol, you've probably heard of it from like the half-mile racetrack NASCAR. I think that's what it's most famous for. And hopefully my volume's not too low.
Yeah, but, Purple was just saying that you are kind of low.
I'll turn it up a bit. And so, I grew up just in a Southern Baptist Appalachian family, and went to church pretty often growing up until around 5 or 6. And then my parents got divorced and didn't go too much after that, just still nominal, attendance, maybe Christmas and Easter, and a little smattering in between. And then I went to high school in Chattanooga, Tennessee, still a believer, but not, thinking about it too much, not really caring that much. And during high school, let's see, something that woke me up in high school was taking an Eastern religions course, where I learned about a lot of the Eastern religions, like Buddhism and Hinduism. And I learned, people by the billions can believe very different, very strange things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Vishnu and Ganesh and all this stuff. So that kind of woke me up, and people really believe that. And I would go, part of that class was going to temples around the area, and they exist. That's a thing. And so that kind of got me questioning. And then after high school, I went to college at UCF in Orlando, and at one point I had an atheist roommate, I think sophomore year, and that was 2006. Yeah, so right around that time, New Atheism was like in full swing. I think The God Delusion was out. Sam Harris's The End of Faith was almost nearly out, and I didn't really know about those books, but I knew about my roommate, and he was just really into it and pretty vocal about it. But I didn't. But we never really talked about religion too much. He was just a really great guy. He's one of my best friends at the time, and I just realized, okay, atheists exist. That's a thing people can be, and he was a good person. So okay, and by the time
did that kind of surprise you that he was a good person? Because how some people believe that you can't have morals without God, kind of thing.
Yeah, a bit. I guess I had my stereotype of atheists being just default evil. Like
Yeah,
that's,
right.
not God is, not good and just evil. But he was a vocal atheist and not that. So that kind of gave me some cognitive dissonance. And his short films were very much anti-religious or just very not religious. And I worked on a lot of them.
Hmm.
And it was a lot of comedy, it was a lot of satire of religion. And just seeing that just woke me up to it. It was a culture shock getting out of, the deep south and going into Orlando. It was just, there were, in film school, there's just people from all different kinds of cultures. And I also went to a boarding school in Chattanooga, and people from all over the world went to this boarding school. And that opened me up to different cultures. So yeah, it was a big culture shock.
I bet. I mean, when you were in the Appalachian area there, did you run into many atheists while you were living there?
No, not that I could tell.
Okay.
No,
So
not at all.
meeting some, I guess, when you hit the big city, quote unquote, kind of threw you for a loop a bit of it.
It did. And I guess after college, I graduated around 2010, 2011. And at that point, I was just browsing Reddit. I was on my own. I was about to move to LA later in the year, but around January of that year, I was just bored, waiting, in my apartment, bored, browsing Reddit. And there was a bunch of, at the time, the atheism subreddit was a default subreddit. So when you're just browsing along, seeing all the memes, you would see some atheism, posts, and that got me down a rabbit hole that I was just curious about it. Knowing my roommates, I was just thinking, okay, so what is this about, this atheism thing? And I followed that into the atheism subreddit and found the Atheist Experience and a bunch of other YouTube channels. I was really into YouTube ever since it really started back in 2006. I had my own YouTube channel, just making little vlogs.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you can probably still see them if you search my name. I have another channel that just read Nicewonder films. A lot of my old crappy short films on there and vlogs, so you can look for those.
I'm going to have to now.
Whatever. And yeah, then I got to the Atheist Experience and just was really fascinated about it. Matt Dillahunty just saying things that were totally, different from what I believed, and saying how religion is not, the virtuous, absolutely moral thing that ideology that's out there. There are flaws and there are issues with the morality of it and the epistemology of it, the skepticism part of it. Like, he introduced me to skepticism, which led me to other books like The Demon Haunted World by Carl Sagan.
Carl Sagan, yeah.
And it wasn't long before I kind of shed my faith after that.
Wow. I'm still getting that you're a little bit lower than I am. Like, you'll speak and then I'll speak and kind of blow their ears. So
Okay, I'll try to fix that.
maybe just a hair more on the volume. Should have had a train of thought and then I blew it by saying all that. That's okay. It'll come back. Oh, yeah. So what made you sort of decide to start getting into the street epistemology?
Let's see. At the time in LA, I moved there late 2011, and Peter Boghossian's book came out in 2013.
Yeah, I
So
think so.
I was pretty embedded. I looked up I kept like a crappy journal a little bit back starting around 2011, and I looked up some old posts of mine, and it's like May 3rd, 2011. Watched a bunch of Atheist Experience. May 11th, 2011. Still watching videos on atheism. I'm really starting to see how religion is one of the biggest problems in human history. I've kind of changed my mind about that, but anyway,
Yeah.
June 14th, 2011, 1 month later, still watching the Atheist Experience. And yeah, but later on I got to, LA, and I joined Atheists United, just a local LA group here, and
Cool.
Peter Boghossian came by and did a talk about street epistemology. And then I also listened to an episode from Seth Andrews, The Thinking Atheist, an interview about street epistemology with Peter. And I think I ordered the book and read it the next day or over the next few days after, and just really liked it. It was really cool.
It's
But
a
I
good
didn't
book.
know, yeah, it's great. And because I wanted to do something to help, spread the values of skepticism and critical thinking.
Sure.
But that was around 2013, and just nothing. I didn't really do anything about it until all 2014. But in January of 2015, I saw my first Anthony Magnabosco video, and that just blew
Nice.
me away, put me in a state of awe. I was like, wow. But even at that time, he was kind of yelling at street preachers a little bit, but it was still the street
remember that.
epistemology thing. I had seen some of those videos were still on his channel, and he was starting to change. He was starting to get feedback from the street epistemology community, from Peter himself, and the way he was changing, being more cordial, more respectful, he would have different results in his videos, and those are really fascinating.
Yeah. Yes. To see, I've seen almost everything he's done, and it is quite it almost seems where there's a point where there's almost a drastic change where he kind of just switches gears almost or something. And because he was a little bit more aggressive, I think, earlier, and then he became a little bit more passive in the future. And it was almost like over a couple of videos, that's when it happened. How did you decide where you were going to do your videos? Because I noticed you go to similar places quite often.
Yeah, so early 2015 is when I learned about Anthony's videos. So just over 2015, I was just giving feedback in the Facebook groups. But then, when was it? Early 2016, this video chat at the time called Blab was launched, and it's basically a 4-person video chat with a chat on the side, and you could be invited to go onto the video chat with the host. And you could see every public stream just on the home page. So everything was public, and a bunch of people from the SE community went over there for like a year, and it was so addicting to us. We would just have conversations all the time, 24/7, practicing SE. But then around spring 2016, Blab shut down. It was just a great format, not profitable. It's just
Really?
too much bandwidth at the time, at least, and it didn't work for for them. It was a great site, but it shut down. So now we were stuck with nowhere to have conversations. At least I was, and that's where I met Doug Pine Creek on Blab
Right.
as well, and a bunch of other people. And so I was kind of now wanting to satiate my SE conversations in some way. So I just figured, why not go out and do it the old-fashioned way, just go out and talk with people and face-to-face. So I went to a nearby park here in LA called just Griffith Park at first, down below from the Griffith Observatory, which is in a lot of Los Angeles touristy media. So I got a bunch of the traffic, the hiking traffic from there, and talked with a bunch of people starting out that way.
That's cool. Oh, you froze up on me.
Did Neil freeze? Oh, you're there? Are you back?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You kind of froze on me too. So I guess something happened there.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So yeah, I started in Griffith Park. That's where I started.
Griffith Park. Now, I think one of my personal favorite episodes is where you were talking, and her name escapes me, and I had it written down, but I can't remember where the hell I put it. I think it was Tia.
Tia, yeah, that was
And,
an interview.
and she's like, "These questions are hard," that kind of thing, right? Which just kind of tickled me, I guess, in a funny way. What the heck is this? Oh, now they're saying maybe get him to pull the mic closer. I guess because I can hear you fine. So maybe
Still? Okay. I'll try to get it really close. How about that?
that's actually, there you go. That's a lot better, actually.
Yeah, I just got this new mic maybe a week ago, and I just got this stand today, like 15 minutes ago. So hopefully this is working well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure you'll be more on the same level as I am so that they can hear. Yeah, they're already saying much better.
Yeah, this is the same setup Joe Rogan does. It's like he's saying, you know, pull that mic right up to your face. I guess that's why he's saying to do that, because it's like, I guess the audio field is right here and not, you know, back here. Probably any of this at all, but right here is probably where you need to be. So
yeah,
still working it out, people. I'm sorry.
It's quite all right. Yeah, now my mind has gone blank because of all this now. All right. Did you have any issues like when you decided that you were an atheist? Like, did you just sort of wake up one day and be like, you know what, I'm an atheist? And how did you speak to your family about this, and how did they react to that kind of thing?
Yeah, I guess it was back in 2011 after watching the Atheist Experience videos and just seeing how people can be good people while being an atheist, and also seeing how the reasons why I believe are not very good. And I was just sitting there in my chair, and then I looked outside, and it's like, wow, we're just on this rock floating through space, and we're very vulnerable. Isn't that crazy? And I think that was one of my like moments that kind of started shifting it for me. And when my family found out, shortly after that, I just wanted to, you know, not be hidden, but I didn't want to just go out and call my family and say I'm an atheist. But so I kind of compromised and just put on my Facebook religious, you know, views section that atheist, and I made that public, and I just didn't say anything. And then I got a call from my mom saying my grandmother saw that and called her upset. And then
really?
then I talked to her my mom, about it a little bit, and that was an awkward conversation, but we got through it. Now we're fine. It's all fine.
Okay, that's good. But do you think that you may have convinced any of your family members to sort of come to that side of the fence? Or?
No, I don't think so.
No?
My mom is still pretty nominally religious. My dad's kind of a hippie-ish religious guy. But my cousins, I know at least one cousin no longer believes. I'm not sure about the rest. I haven't talked to him about it.
Wow. Do you think maybe it's because he's been watching your videos, or?
No, probably not. No.
But did you ever have conversations with them about it, or?
Not really. We were on a vacation together, and he mentioned, you know, that he sees things, you know, it's very similar to me. But that was way before I started a YouTube channel.
Okay.
We haven't talked about it since.
So maybe he stumbled upon some of the same stuff that you did, I guess, maybe?
Maybe, probably, yeah.
Because, like, I remember, like, when I grew up, my story is a little bit on the unique side. I was actually adopted as a baby, and I was born to a Christian couple. But they weren't married at the time. And my biological dad's mom was a staunch Catholic. So you could probably guess that, childbearing out of wedlock was not really popular. So I was put up for adoption and raised in the Jewish faith.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I remember being young and just asking, like, you know, you hear some of the biblical stories and you're like, how is this even possible? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. But I did my bar mitzvah. My parents even sent me to live in Israel for 2 years for grade 11 and 12. And over there, I noticed that many of the Israelis, the Jewish people over there, were fairly secular. So slowly but surely, I think I moved away from Judaism, but I ended up a lot like Aaron Ra, who him and I had a really good conversation about this. I kind of turned to the pagan side of things for a while and got into Wicca and all kinds of weird stuff like that, and then eventually just became free of all of it.
Yeah, you've got the similar style, like long hair and biker vibe. That's good.
I've got a great picture of the two of us standing out in front of this Noodle House restaurant in Dallas, Texas, and we're standing under the little neon sign that says "Monkeys Welcome." So I thought that was pretty good. His wife took that for us. That was when I went down for. I don't know if you ever consider going to it, but I went down to the Faithless Forum in Dallas last year, and met everybody. Hung out at Matt Dillahunty's house, and oh man, genetically modified skeptic. Kicked my ass at Mario Kart 64 like 7 out of 8 times.
Classic.
Yeah, I love that game. I used to play it like 24/7 when I was younger. Like I wouldn't even sleep, and then I'd go to work and stuff like that. But those were the days.
Yeah, good days, good times.
Yeah. So you're still doing the street epistemology now, and do you see yourself doing this for quite some time?
I do, at least for a hobby. I'm also president of Street Epistemology International now.
Are you?
Yeah. Anthony is the executive director. I'm the president, and got a few other board members. And we've raised about $18,000 so far, and we're about to launch a service for people to just give funding requests if anybody wants to do SE and needs financial assistance, buying cameras, doing whatever. Just send us a funding request and we'll give you money and we'll help you out. Or if you need help, flying people out to certain places to give talks, ideally we'd like people locally to do whatever. But if anybody has any project related to SE, give us an email. We'll have a form for people to sign up and request stuff pretty soon. So just be on the lookout.
Somebody in the chat, Beach Price, wanted to know if you knew if Nancy Drew is still around.
Nancy Drew.
I'm not sure.
We went to Politicon, and I think that was her. I forgot her name, who we were there with at Politicon. But that was also another good event. We want to use SE to branch out into other places, especially politics, especially this year, with it being an election year. Not too many people having cordial conversations around ideological divides politically. So we want to help that as well. So we might do more political events as well as religious, skeptical, secular events.
Right.
Conferences.
I don't know if you guys could hear that, but my roommate was just grabbing ice out of the ice dispenser, so it was a little noisy. I apologize.
No worries.
Just hang on one quick second. I got something I kind of want to show you.
Sure.
When I was down in Austin, met Anthony, and we'd spoken before multiple times, like through Facebook and stuff like that. And then I told him I was coming down. He said, "Oh shit, I'll be there for sure." And I dropped in there, and he gave me this.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, I was watching his old your interview with him a while ago, and you were wearing something like that. Yeah.
I think I was wearing this actually just for him, and he signed it for me.
Oh, amazing! That's great.
So if we ever meet up, there's a spot here for you to sign.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I may go to the Faithless Forum in Austin this year. Is that happening soon?
Yeah.
Is there a date for that, or it's just 2020 right now?
Yeah. It is. It's 2020. Last year they did it in April. I'm not sure if they're going to do it in April again, but I'm sort of like I know all of them, so they'll let me know right away because they want me to come down. So the moment I find out, I can give you a heads up on that if you like. Pardon me, just battling the end of a cold here. Yeah, so I can let you know for sure because I think you could probably get in touch with either Drew or Thomas, Holy Kool-Aid, if you'd be interested in talking or speaking there, because I know they are always kind of looking for people to do that.
Cool. Yeah. And Anthony might be available, or Tyrone Wells from Let's Chat. He might be available.
Yeah.
But if they want me, that's fine as well. I could probably do something.
Yeah, for sure. And I just you mentioned Tyrone. I just stumbled on his channel just recently, actually, and sort of been binging on some of his content too. He's pretty good.
Yeah, I
I
love Ty's
enjoy
book.
it. Yeah. Um, I often thought of starting to do that myself, to do the street epistemology type chats as well.
Hmm.
I just, my patience level is nowhere near what you have, sir. So I don't
Yeah.
know if I could maintain myself for as long. But, you know, I think some people might argue with me too on that aspect too, because a lot of them think I'm one of the more patient people that they've met. But when I hear what I deem as sort of just ridiculousness, I just want to like scream. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like like something that's said that's just so outlandish. You just kind of like what, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I probably have to practice. So let's say somebody like me that wants to start doing it, but definitely needs some practice. Where would you recommend that somebody do that?
Well, there is the Street Epistemology Discord server we've had for the past maybe year or 2 years.
Yeah, I'm
And
on
just
there.
recently, it's been pretty popular. I've been getting a lot of activity there. We could have conversations there or just go out and fail forward. That's what I try. It was my mantra when I wanted to do. I was not very good at first. It takes a lot of practice
Mm.
and just film yourself and watch yourself back on camera and just you'll see uh, how you do. And it's also kind of a shift in mindset. Have you read Peter's new book, How to Have Impossible Conversations?
Oh no, I have the other one here
Okay.
with me, so I do know that one. That's
His new
buried there.
his new book is also really great, um, and it goes into a lot of the psychology of why people believe.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
and his co-author James Lindsay has another book called Everybody is Wrong About God, which was another huge influence on me.
Hmm.
And that just it makes you think differently about God and theism in general. There's just a whole different way of conceptualizing God, and it just makes you less. It made me less angry thinking about beliefs and talking with religious people. That was a big influence, and also he gets a lot of his ideas from The Righteous Mind from Jonathan Haidt,
Hmm.
and that also had a huge influence on me. Um, and is Jonathan Haidt's other book, The Happiness Hypothesis, is also great. So all those three books, Everybody's Wrong
All
About
right.
God, The Righteous Mind, and The Happiness Hypothesis. Great
Happiness
stuff.
hypothesis.
Hmm.
That one I had not heard of. The other two I'd heard of, and they're on my list actually, because I always buy the actual physical book itself, and I download the audiobooks whenever they're available, so that I can read them and then listen at the same when I'm driving or something. I can listen to books as well, which
Yeah.
is really cool.
Yeah, sometimes I get both the digital and the audio version, and I what is it? AirPlay to my TV the book and listen to the audio, and I'm just watching, I'm listening to the audio and reading on my TV. So that's a fun way to read a book.
I'll have to try that. I never thought about the digital versions. I just like having the actual, like right here. I've got, you were talking about earlier. Oh no, that's not. Oh, I thought it was the God Delusion. No, it's the Founding Myth by Andrew
Andrew Seidel.
Seidel, yeah. I just had a conversation with him a few days ago. So
Sweet, awesome.
yeah, yeah, it was a good talk with him. So what if you had to choose maybe a handful of your favorite talks that you did on your channel, which ones kind of stand out to you?
Yeah, I think I have a playlist of like my most popular ones, and I think my favorites are probably one of the most more popular ones. Tia is really good, but I think my most favorite is the one with Dominique. I
Mm.
think that's his name. That was really good. It applied a lot of the principles that were now explained in Peter's new book, getting into morality and figuring out ways to meet certain needs alternatively, stuff like that. That's one of my favorites. Some other ones, have to think about it yeah, but those two, Tia and Dominique, are my favorites.
Mm-hmm. Producer Dane in the chat says that SE doesn't necessarily have to be in real life either, which I agree with. You can do it just like we're doing it now. And Tarzan, the agnostic, would like to know what your view on Jordan Peterson is. And I was actually going to ask you that myself. So,
Sure. He's a mixed bag, I would say. I think
I think that's putting it nicely.
I don't think he's like a normal Christian at all. I don't even think he has a literal belief in God. He might be just an atheist because he says, "I act as if God exists." It's not really something you say if you believe truly in a literal God.
Yeah, he might be tackling morality, I think, on that. I act as if a God exists, like behaving as if one does, maybe.
Yeah, I've watched a bunch of his videos, his psychological series on the biblical stories are pretty fascinating. I love mythology. I went to film school, all into filmmaking, and his ideas have a lot to do with mythology and storytelling, and what that does as a selection mechanism on humans. It's like dogs are domesticated. What has we humans domesticated dogs? What did we humans do to domesticate ourselves? And what did that do to our physiology, psychology, and stories? Culture in general is a huge selection part of that evolutionary history of ours. And it's a lot of interesting stuff. Yeah.
I think how we sort of domesticated ourselves, as you said, is probably when we started the whole agriculture thing and we started settling in areas, and we had to understand that we needed to get along with people. And that's probably kind of how we ended up domesticating ourselves, is knowing that we had to be around other people and act accordingly, I would say, something like that.
Yep. There's another good book called The Secret of Our Success by Joseph Heinrich. It's all about cultural evolution and how, gene versus cultural evolution, applies to humans. It's very similar to Peterson's ideas, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, wow. Look at me. Anyway, one quick little thing I have to do here. Duke, my friend Duke just showed up in the chat. Just so you know, Artemis has been looking to get in touch with you, so I thought I'd pass that along since you're here. Apologies for that.
No worries.
How many people are in the street epistemology now, like that you know of, that are involved with the group, that are actually out there doing this sort of thing?
Nowadays, there's probably half a dozen to maybe to a dozen active people uploading videos to YouTube. In general, people just active in the community, maybe hundreds.
Really?
But there's about, we crossed over 5,000 members of the Facebook group.
Wow.
A couple months ago. And I think there's still interest there. We're not losing interest. There's more things we're doing.
There's more than one group, though, is there not?
Facebook groups, yeah. There's like the Street Epistemology Study Group, and then Learn Street Epistemology for like people who aren't atheists but are interested in street epistemology. It's not too big of an audience, but that's there for them. And chat with an SE Facebook group, just people doing conversations, and then Critique SE. So if we find any critique videos or articles, we talk about that there. Lots of stuff going on, yeah.
Do you get a lot of people critiquing your stuff?
Me, not too many. I've come across some videos of just people watching a video and giving commentary or writing an article about it. It's very interesting seeing the apologists react to this group, this phenomenon of SE.
Yeah, I bet. I get them. They jump into my streams every once in a while, and they sort of start to do the whole preachy kind of thing, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll say something that they don't want to hear, and of course they have to say something too. But I usually, respond to them directly from here and say, listen, until you can demonstrate that there is something like a deity of any kind, then I'm going to continue to live as if they don't exist, as if they're all just made up mythologies, like all the ones that followed or before Yahweh and after Yahweh. So, or Yahweh or El or whatever one these people, because when you go far enough back, because I know a lot of the ancient Jewish stuff, right? So there was originally in the old Israel, there were some Israelites that had like a pantheon of gods, and Yahweh and El were a part of that pantheon. So that's why you have the country called Israel, meaning land of God, so to speak. So somewhere along the way, it swapped over to Yahweh for some reason. And I was never really able to figure that out myself, but
Okay.
yeah, it seemed like there were two different guys that switched places, and I don't know how the hell that happened. Maybe because of the spelling of Adonai, kind of Yud Vav He Vav, I think, which is Yahweh, where that came from.
Gotcha.
Could be something like that. Anyway,
Just reminds me of one of the last scenes in the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Like, what is the name of God? Is it Jehovah or whatever it is? But get steps on the bricks and makes it through.
yeah. That's a good movie. Of course, the fourth one was a disaster, but we don't talk about that one.
We don't talk about that.
It's like people in Star Trek. We don't talk about the odd-numbered movies.
Yeah.
Well, man, is there anything else you wanted to add to the conversation? Like, is there anything you kind of wanted to talk about? You were thinking of bringing up yourself, possibly? Because a lot of times my guests do have something they kind of want to mention.
Not really. I've got plans this year to do some other different things with my channel. I want to make a new show called like Reason Review. It's kind of like an interview series with experts. I grab claims from wherever I find them on the internet, either YouTube videos or articles or tweets, and I'll just organize them into, clear arguments. But when I talk to experts, I won't show who said what. I'll just put the arguments there blind and get their feedback on it. And then when I edit it later, I'll add in the source. So that may be an interesting format.
I think so. It sounds cool.
Yeah. And then
That's really cool.
Then I may try something where, I don't know if this will work, but Zoom, the video chat software, has a feature where you can put people in different rooms. So you can host a Zoom thing, put people in different rooms, and I can bounce back and forth and talk with people. So I could do like a blind interview between two people from different ideological camps, like someone on the left and right, or someone who's an atheist, not an atheist. And I could show them just arguments on the screen, and then I'll get feedback from one person, and they'll respond with something. I'll update the screen, and then I'll go back to the other person and get their response. So it's like very focused, very clean, like mediation, just talking about the point, the arguments.
That sounds interesting. I'd be down for seeing something like that. That'd be pretty cool.
Yes, and they wouldn't know who they're talking to. So they could be talking to someone who believes what they're saying, or they could be saying someone like on their own side, pretending to be someone else saying something. So that might, because when people argue with someone on the other side, there's so much psychologically going on there that biases them.
Yes.
But if they do it blind, and they might be talking with someone on their own side, that may open them up to being more open to the other side.
Interesting idea.
So, like, I want to, with all this technology that's happening, HD live streams live, this is all very new for humans. Like, what can we use this for productively to talk about ideas? So, lots of stuff possibly we could do.
Yeah, that actually sounds like that'd be a pretty neat idea, especially because the way you're going to do it, they don't have to feel like they need to be guarded either. And so they're probably more likely to talk a little more open,
Yeah.
like you were saying, right?
And if they start to agree on things, maybe then they can then talk to each other and they can figure out who they've been talking to. So that might be just a fun suspense thing to see. Like people will see on this, like I'll edit it all together later and people will know who they're talking to, but they won't know. So it'll be kind of dramatic. That'd be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll see.
Just recently, I saw one of Anthony's videos where he spoke to a couple of guys walking around from the Mormons, and he was
Yeah.
talking to the two of them. And someone in the chat wanted to know if you'd ever had like a priest or even a rabbi or something come to your table and sit and talk with you.
Maybe. I've done maybe over 1,000 conversations at this point. I'm sure I have. I probably don't remember. I've talked with Jonathan McClatchy on my channel on a stream on his channel. It's in one of my playlists of talking with people on podcasts. So I guess that would be one of them. Also another apologist. I've talked to a few apologists, but not that many.
How did those go?
Not that well.
Kind of what I figured you were going to say.
Yeah. With
They're-
McClatchy,
They're tough to talk to.
yeah, with McClatchy, it went down to like the cumulative case, and it's hard to pick a main reason that, if was found mistaken, would change his confidence. It's like all of this stuff together is just in one big pile, and it's hard to pick it apart. And with another apologist, I think it was Dean Meadows, just trying to do an outsider test for faith on the resurrection evidence. Like what's the quality and quality and the quantity of evidence that if you had something else that was extraordinary presented to you with the same quantity and quality of evidence as a resurrection that was just as extraordinary, would you believe it? Or what was the minimum evidence for that? And why is this standard different? That was the kind of conversation I had with him. But yeah, it takes a lot of practice for that.
Yeah, for sure. Because a lot of times when I've dealt with chatting with apologists, not on here, but just like on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, they can get pretty rapid fire on you with all these different things that they kind of throw at you. And I personally think that that's part of their tactics, to kind of throw you off a little bit.
Yeah, just got to be patient.
Yeah,
Hear them
definitely.
out. Try to Rappaport's rules. It's a big one. Just try to summarize accurately what they're saying to get them to say, "That's right. That's what I'm saying." That's a huge part of it.
Yeah, Rappaport's rules. I've never heard of that before.
Oh yeah, that's a
Yeah, that's a new one on me.
yeah. I guess there's like 4 steps. I don't know. I forgot them specifically. I think the first is something about making sure you repeat back what they're saying accurately, get them to say yes, that's right, and then there's more to it. But it's all in Bogosian's new book.
Okay, cool.
Originally comes from Daniel Dennett, I think.
Oh, I like his stuff too. Then it's pretty cool. So people in the chat want to know if you're going to go back to the beach and do some chats at the beach again.
Yeah, I want to try going back there, and also UCLA. I did one day at UCLA back in December just to test it out. It is a public campus, and it was fine. I was there for a few hours. No one bothered me. People came up to do interviews, but no one from the campus bothered me.
That's
and
good.
There were other protesters just off, maybe 50, 100 feet away.
What were
And
they
if
protesting?
if they can do that, they were doing something about something political. But they had like a loudspeaker and everything. So if they can do that, I hope I can just have a table, with some microphones.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm going to try. I might go out tomorrow.
Oh,
and
cool.
do a stream at UCLA, and I've also been practicing streaming with Twitch, just behind the scenes stuff, like behind the scenes editing, behind the scenes, just reviewing videos and articles for my Reason Review format show.
Sure.
Just trying to collect as many claims, like snippets, like one person saying one sentence as a claim, so I can use it as reference later for argument building.
Sure.
So
That sounds good.
And I just tested out my new GoPro. It can stream to Twitch, so I may stream to Twitch.
Like directly.
While I go out and do SE.
Cool.
So that'd be something to look out for.
That would be cool too. Yeah. Guys, if you just sort of tuned in recently or came a little bit later after the beginning, there are his links down below. I didn't realize that you had a Twitch channel, so I will, after the fact, add that to the description below. But I do have his YouTube channel down there, and I highly recommend you check out some of his conversations, because I've always I've been a fan since I stumbled on you, dude. So right away, it was always great to watch your stuff. And just so you guys know, I was once a Patreon, but I had to pull back from being a patron of everyone until I got out of a little bit of a financial bind, and that took some months, but I got out of it, and I started adding everyone that I had back, plus a couple of new ones, but I couldn't find Reid. So he's currently not on Patreon, but you were mentioning there was another way that people could help you.
Yeah, possibly Subscribe Star. I might start one of those, or I might just turn on the YouTube membership program. I don't know if I can do that. Maybe I need a certain amount of subscribers or watch time. I'll figure that out. That might be an option. So look out for that.
Well, I do know that some people that have over 10,000 at least, they have the membership buttons, the join buttons.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just crossed that threshold maybe a month ago, so maybe that's a new thing I didn't know about.
Also, if you do your videos as a premiere, you can have live chats while you're premiering, and people can offer you super chats as well, which is another.
A few times, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I got in a few myself once I broke 1,000 subscribers. So
sweet.
Whenever people do that, I'm like, whoa, it kind of blows my mind, because I really don't expect it. I just have it there just in case, right? Because you never know. But it's always cool when you get them.
That's a great monetary feature. Like, so many people just do streams now and get super chat money. It's great.
Yeah. I don't quite get enough to actually make a living off of it or anything right now. But speaking of which, it snowed like crazy here yesterday, and my attempt to get to work this morning, I got stranded on the bridge. Oh
my gosh.
Yeah, but luckily, one of the snowplows drove past me, and I guess he radioed their tow truck guy, and he pulled me across the bridge. Like I wasn't there for no longer than 10 minutes, and the guy was there. So
okay.
And I was able to trudge my way to work and just park my car there. And one of the guys at work gave me a ride home. He's got one of them big ass 4x4s. So for him, it's just like nothing. Mudding tires and stuff on there, big ass knobby things. But anyway, Reid, man, thank you so much for chatting with me today, man. I really enjoyed this.
Sure thing. No problem, Neil. Anytime.
I have beer with me, but seeing as how I'm wheelless currently, I couldn't go get any beer, but that's okay. But we're going to do an after party, and you've already sort of agreed to come and hang out for a little bit longer. So if anyone would like to come into the after party and say hello to Reid, and if you had any questions that I may have missed or you didn't get a chance to ask, now's your chance to do that. So if you are interested in joining us, let me know through Twitter, and I'll give you a link to join.
Sure thing.
I hear Reid say 7 years ago. What?
Does he want me to do a voiceover for something?
Maybe. I don't know. It's doorknob head. Sometimes I kind of have trouble trying to understand what he's saying, but he's usually a pretty funny guy. But anyways, so we'll do that. We're going to jump to an after party. We'll probably go within the next 10 minutes or so. I'll have it up because I'm going to take a quick break before doing that. So yeah, Reid, what I'll do is I'll give you a fresh link and we'll jump into another one, and we'll probably have a few people with us.
All right. See you guys over there.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. Thanks again, Reid. And until next time, guys, like I always say at the end of these things, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.